Cindy Lou Who doesn't care about the presents. It's not even like it's not even so much like, oh, this is not the present I wanted, but it's something that was given to me, so it's sweet and it's perfect. She Once the presents are gone, she's like, but that's not
Yeah,
Christmas. You didn't take
but that's not.
Christmas.
Yeah.
You took, and like we still have each other, and then her parents backing her up and having her back, and like them being the first ones to be like, you're right. Welcome back, everybody. Merry Christmas. The day that this episode goes out is what? Oh, no, this will go up before Christmas. Okay, cool. I was like, for a second,
Yeah. Well,
I was thinking about talking about the big stuff. That episode goes out the day after Christmas. No, this will go out 2 days.
that's another project, guys.
Yeah. Go check that out if you're into politics or philosophy or
Or you want to see our ugly mugs.
yeah. But yeah, so tomorrow's Christmas Eve if you're watching this the day it comes out. So we really wanted to wrap up the Christmas month strong, and we did all three Grinches. So that is the 1966 version, the 2000 version, and the 2018 version. And we have thoughts.
So technically, it's not Cinemen; it's animated short and movie men.
Two of the three were in theaters, so I will say
correct.
So,
however, the original that these all are, I guess, ranked by is like what? It's not even an hour.
Yeah,
it's like 50 something minutes.
No, it was like 25 minutes. I think it was real short. Yeah. And as soon as I saw it was 25, I'm like, okay. I'm feeling a lot better about three of these now.
Dude, that's exactly how I felt. I was like, aren't the other ones like full feature length movies?
Yeah.
And then when I looked at the original, I was like, fuck it, half an hour, we're good.
I was like, when I saw it was a half hour, and I figured Grinch 2018 was relatively short because most animated features aren't like 2 hours or more.
Especially from that era.
Yeah.
So there was so many things about we'll get to this in editing and other sections, but there was so many things about the original Grinch that fit when it was made, how it was distributed, the method of producing something at that time frame. Like so many of those things, it was a product of its mid-60s era.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. And Grinch 2018 is 85 minutes. So, like, not bad either.
I really thought that splitting them into like we'll touch on each for each section because there are some parts of them that obviously there's either more content to talk about or there's more important stuff to talk about.
Right.
For pre-production, I really thought, why these three now? So we did them because they are big holiday favorites of members of our audience because we're both in our 40s, but also members of people who are our contemporaries, whether older or younger. They either showed them to us when we were kids or they have shown them, in the case of Mike, to his kids.
Yeah. I would also argue that like unlike most of what we've talked about on this show for the last 3 months, this movie needs no explanation.
No.
Maybe really The Exorcist and A Muppet's Christmas Carol are the only other two that I think are ubiquitous. Like everyone knows what that is essentially, right?
I'll go with that. I agree because there's also the situations where like when we're looking at comedy and pacing, or when we're looking at like which one of these has lasting ability. My pre-production notes were very much like how justified is the Grinch as the villain, or how mean is Whoville, because that's one of the biggest differences between these three is how, and my wife was even saying the same thing, is how the Grinch as a character is even seen differently in all three by the residents of Whoville that are down Mount Crumpet.
Right.
So there are definite differences in the way the characters interact with each other that way. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, and I think that to an extent that could be. I mean, neither of us was around for 66, but that could be a reflection of the time. Where I, like 2000. When we get into the 2000 version, I have some real strong thoughts on it's a product of its time, not just because it's Jim Carrey, but also like there is a specific message that seems a little bit beyond the Dr. Seuss message of the original book.
You and
And
me, you
and
and me,
and
yes.
and I like that. And when we get into it, I'm
I
going to say
agree.
that I like it, but I also feel like that is very specific to the time. The 2018 version doesn't have that same message. It has
Correct.
similar messages. It's connected. And then also like in the 66 version, the Who's are not characters. They are
No,
essentially
they're
background.
accessory. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
accessories to the story or the narrative.
Even
So
Cindy
I
Lou
mean,
Who as the only other person who has lines
minor screen
is
time,
yeah.
minor screen time in the
That's
first one.
essentially
Barely a
like
character.
she's basically the same as Max in that. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
Max in
Okay.
all three, right?
He is Max in all
Yeah.
three. And you know what, now that you mentioned, even Max, and some of my notes show this, even Max's character or place in it is different for the three.
Yep.
And that's actually one of my big it's of the times for the 66.
I was going to just say, like, I think that the difference is, and I think it kind of is one of those things that makes this a good, interesting story to keep, like, after watching, over the course of 2 nights, watching all three Grinches back to back to back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, like if in 20 years they make another version of this, they could do it very different again, and I could
Oh, okay.
enjoy it depending on the way things go culturally. And like I think that it is one of those stories. It's similar to a lot of like Shakespeare adaptations that get updated for the time. And
I could see
um
that.
and like when we watch I think we mentioned it a few weeks ago, but like 10 Things I Hate About You being the taming of the shrew, or Romeo and Juliet becoming West Side Story. Like this is one of those stories that like you're not you don't have to stick strictly to what the book gives to keep it. I mean, like, at no point to any of these three do I think that's not the Grinch. That's like as a story. It's
Yeah.
just what I mean. They keep the shape while also having their own unique cultural touches, which I think is the power
I
of
no,
such a
I can
simple
entirely agree
book
with that.
story.
Yeah, no, I can entirely agree with that because there were many scenarios where when I was watching like the 66 version, I would think, oh no, you know what? No, you're right. It really couldn't have been that. It really couldn't have gone that way. This character would have made no damn sense or been completely written off if it was in the 66, or for that matter, the 2000 was in the
Right.
2018 one.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I can agree with that entirely. I really give I'm going to give a score to two independent pieces that are in all three, even though they play different roles.
Sure.
So, my Whoville score, this is more about not the people, but like Whoville itself
The
and
community
how
or the actual
the
buildings. Okay.
visual of the village, because like you just kind of touched on, the who's of Whoville are very different in the three films, not only how they integrate with the Grinch and interact with the story, but also the roles they play for the audience in all three.
Sure. Yep.
So for me, Whoville in the first is probably the highest of the three. So we're gonna say it's like an 8 or 9 out of 10. It fits the Seuss visual narrative. And also, if you were to have me do a script reading of the original 1966 The Grinch Who Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss, and I needed a visual of what this place looks like, especially with all the alliterations that are made with the word who into so many of their instruments and their food and all that. That's exactly what I would envision a Dr. Seuss Whoville to look like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need AI to build this for me. I can completely understand what this is supposed to look like. The 2000 Grinch Whoville is definitely, it's a hair behind, but it's on the same rank. So I'm going to say that's probably like a 7. I say that because Dr. Seuss's color palette was a little softer.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at the 2000s and the 66 is softer, like a children's story, like it was. And then the 2000, it's the same contrast of colors, like how different they are to each other. There's all those fanciful, magical looking, swooping buildings and all this. But the colors are too punchy for me. So that's why I'm pulling it down a rank. And then in the 2018 version, Whoville looks, I think, closer to 66.
Yeah.
In the way that it is a little softer, it's a little less intense. The colors are still contrasting from each other, but the saturation is toned down.
Right.
And then the Grinch sympathy score. I'm even more different on this one. The sympathy of the Grinch, meaning from the audience to the Grinch,
yeah,
the first one's the highest. Because to me, the 66, he has that real full turnaround of he's super sour, super mean, super sad. And then he has his little moment of realization, kind of like Scrooge, and flips, and then goes down to Whoville and has the feast. Right. So that's probably like your Grinch sympathy 9. In the 2000 Jim Carrey version, the Grinch becomes such an established character, like, because again, there's so much more runtime here.
Yeah.
That I think the audience is just as sympathetic, but I was not. So for me, that's probably closer to a 7. And I say that because the Grinch and Whoville and the Who's, they don't have as much of a contentious relationship.
Yeah.
In fact, he has an entire backstory where he was a Who in Whoville, sort of, and then
more
got ostracized. Exactly. Right. Sorry. Good point. But then got ostracized to Mount Crumpet because of his fall from innocence of his love.
Yeah.
Right. So that's harder for me to buy in comparison to the 66. And then the 2018, that is for Grinch sympathy. I have like a 4 or a 5. Yeah. Because the Who's are not scared of him.
And they're not mean to him at all.
Exactly. They're not mean to him. They're not scared of him. He's just he's more of a crotchety neighbor than he is a villain. I mean, as much villain as a kid's movie can be villain, right? So to me, the Grinch, like in the early scenes of the 2018, he goes down to Whoville, although in disguise, he goes down to Whoville and just walks amongst them because he ran out of food. Yeah. So he chose to go to Whoville, even though he's supposed to be a big scary monster. Like it didn't track for me.
No, and I agree. That was one of the things I noted was like, so I agree with you 100% on the first one, and on that one, and on the other two I flip flop. I thought that Grinch 66 was strong, really strong. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected when I was like, oh, we're gonna go watch 1966.
Yeah, watching it critically, I was like, oh, this is really decent.
Yeah. But I think that the Grinch 2000 is I understand the turn better than either of the others, because I think that, like, just being like, oh, I tried to steal it from them and it didn't work and they're still happy. I should be happy. That doesn't work as well for me.
No, it doesn't work for me either.
As Cindy Lou Who creating that bond and fighting for him, and then especially when he sees Cindy Lou Who on top, that's the moment where he like he's already kind of there, but the thing that pushes him over the edge is seeing Cindy Lou Who in danger. And even, earlier in the movie when he's still bad Grinch, he says, nice kid, bad judge of character. Like, he already likes Cindy Lou Who.
Exactly. And it pushes, I agree with you, it pushes away that he's the big bad villain outcast kind of thing. Like, well, outcast literally in the 2000 version, but outcast even more so in 2018. You're right. In both of those films, he's less of a he's less of like this truly separate being. He's more of a crotchety neighbor that just happens to have a whole mountain lair.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sorry, I didn't realize my ringer was on. I hear it through because I have an Apple. I hear it through my headphones, and I was like, oh, I'm just hearing it on the computer. Didn't realize my ringer was on.
It was going on the phone too, but that's okay. That's why we're filmmakers, not actors.
Yeah.
So 1966 is the classic fable. The animation, the narration, and the music is what drives that film on and on and on from minute to minute for me.
Yeah.
It was less about the narrative, and that doesn't mean I think it's weak. It's just less about the narrative in any of those classic. Well, there's not very many Dr. Seuss that were put on film or on television back then because they didn't really get to theater. But if you look at all the modern adaptations like the Lorax and this and the more recent Grinches have a lot more in common than like the original animated stuff.
Yeah.
The same way that Charles Schultz and his Peanuts characters, like they used to be this animated shorts kind of thing, but then when they got these full-length episodes on
Yeah.
Apple, it's this is a little different. So I also think that 66 classic fable, the 2000 is maximum chaos in comparison. So the Who's are consumerist monsters. They were obviously that in the first film, but it was just so much more brought to the front and exacerbated with specific lines touching on it.
Yeah.
In the 2000s version. And the set design and the prosthetics are like this big spectacle. In fact, we could go on specifically about how Ron Howard wore the costume for an entire day while directing as like a sign of solidarity for Jim Carrey, who nearly quit the film because of how restrictive the contacts, the face mask, the full getup, like he nearly quit this film.
Yes, yeah.
And
it was funny because I knew that story about the makeup, and when the scene with the baby Grinch, I said, "Can you believe they put all that makeup on a baby?" Jim Carrey said it was like being tortured, and he goes,
"He did."
He goes, "Do they actually put that on a baby?" And I was like, "No, it's an animatronic baby look."
right. So to me, I think the 2000s is secretly the most honest of these three.
Yes,
because
100%.
It hates all the BS noise that the 2018 tried to put on the audience.
Yeah.
And then the 66 didn't have time to touch.
Yep.
Like it is.
And again, I don't know how materialistic we already were in 66. I know that there is some, but like, I don't know how big of a deal Black Friday and all of the like materialism of Christmas was already in play in 66. Whereas by like, and I know like Miracle on 34th Street was before that, right? And that was, Macy's, but like it doesn't feel the same as like when you see people tackling each other for Black Friday, which to some extent I feel like it has backed up a little bit just because like corporations aren't playing that game anymore. But like, there was, remember around 2000 is probably like a height of Black Friday when people were like, I'm going to kill somebody for this toy for my kid. And, like this was not too many years after Jingle All the Way and that,
good point.
The Power Ranger chaos that we were probably 11, 12 years old for.
So the 60s, the merchants tried to call it Black Friday and it started to fall off. And in the 70s, it started to show up in like pricing for brochures and publications. And then by the 80s, it was full on adopted by the retail industry.
Mm-hmm.
And also keep in mind in 66, all of these bigger ticket items were very big, bulky, and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And the average cost of these electronics hadn't come down that much.
Yep.
So there was less of a desire to go buy the big television because it weighed 200 pounds.
Right.
Whereas by the 2000s, we had flat screens, although they were probably plasmas, they were still freaking heavy.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So yeah, the consumerism, the 2000 version really pumped that up the most. And that's why to me, it's the most honest of the three.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, my production notes are, and I don't mean to be showing my hand here, it's a soft rebrand.
Yeah.
And I have family, close friends that work at Universal on the guest side.
Yeah.
And every time I ask her about the Grinch character, she says it is probably the most desired character that is not year round. Because there are characters that are wanted more for Universal meets, but not that are year round. And then it is so specifically nasty the amount of time people are willing to wait for this, right?
Yeah.
And they all the actors, because there is more than one actor that plays the Grinch.
Whoa, there's actors that play the Grinch. I thought the Grinch was real.
Oh God. And then in the park, smartass. So anyway,
I know.
they all are mimicking the Jim Carrey Grinch. None of them are trying to be Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
So that's why to me the 2018 is just this limp, soft rebrand, and it's lonely Grinch instead of ostracized Grinch.
Yeah.
If how I'm saying that is tracking. So here, I'm going to move because the light's coming in that window.
I was seeing. I didn't know if that was light across my screen or not. So I was like, okay.
No. So sorry, guys. You get to see some more of my house. So for me, okay, the 2018 Grinch, and we touched on it in pre-production. He had to go down to Whoville to get groceries because he ran out of them.
Right.
Okay, so that's how we're going to, like, that's the laziest way I think you could just, like, a writer thought, you know what? I have to introduce the Grinch going down to Whoville. You know what we're going to do? He has to go shopping. Like, and also for production, because this is where I think this fits. I am the least bad language using person when it comes to like politically charged language. It irks me to even use it because I used to write copy on the radio. Giving the main character family a single mom angle is just so ugly. She was never a single mom in the other two films. It serves no narrative purpose to make her a single mom other than to further push the audience to believe that her mom works hard. And I feel kind of chauvinistic going at that angle, but that's really how I feel. If she was a single mom in 66, or which she wouldn't have been, if she was a single mom in 2000s, totally popular, half of my freaking high school class had divorced parents. And then you go to the 2018, the single hardworking mom with the twins that now are even younger.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it didn't track for me. It removes the bite of the Grinch being this guy that needs to have this full turnaround. Even though it happened, it doesn't sell me that as much because I believe that Martha May Whovier
from the 2000 version,
from a 2000 version, and the mayor from a 2000 version, like these characters added something to the film.
Yeah.
Her mom, even in the 2000 film, played by Molly Shannon, was so much better than the animated single mom that's like trying to make breakfast, and we get it. Single mom. Thanks, Pharrell. Tell us more. Like
I kind of disagree. I think when you look,
you need to sell me on why this freaking matters.
I'm not saying that I love the decision. I'm just saying that I think that they made a very clear decision to make Whoville as a society different than the Whoville of the last version, the Jim Carrey version.
I agree with that.
And in doing that, they took away the power of Cindy Lou Who that the 2000 version had. And in order to give her that power of innocence and pure-heartedness, they had to figure out a way to do that. And the way of doing that was she wants to talk to Santa Claus because she needs him to help her mom who is overwhelmed. And so it made her seem selfless and innocent. And I'm not saying that it was as effective. I don't think it was as effective. I'm just saying I don't think it was as cynical of a decision. I think it was more like, we're not going to make the Who's a consumerist society that is like,
that was the problem.
Like they're not. So in order to, they had to have something else to pull him other than like, I don't think like that's the one problem I have with the 66 version is I don't think like just seeing them singing at the bottom of at Whoville while he's on top of Mount Crumpet makes sense to turn him around. Like that song,
no.
Like that. So they seem to know that.
I can agree with that.
And I understand that in the 25 minutes they had, it was a different thing, right? Like, so
exactly.
I'm not blaming it for that
kind of thing.
But when you're making a feature-length movie, you need more, and I think that the more in this is Cindy Lou Who is she is the connector.
She is the main character
in all versions,
even though it's called the Grinch. Yeah.
No, but she's the connector thread in all the versions from. And in this version, you don't have her being like, I don't think that the Who's have it right about Christmas, and I want the Grinch to be welcome. You don't have that. Like, Cindy Lou Who doesn't really care about the Grinch. She's just fairly sweet.
She's just
And
okay. Give her a dad. Does it change anything?
well, then
no, hold on. Give her a dad, and she has struggling parents instead of struggling mom. Does it sell it to you, Mike, differently?
I think that it seems weirder if a kid recognizes that their parents are struggling at, what is she supposed to be, 7, than if her single parent is struggling with 3 kids. Like, I think that I do think it doesn't work. I think you could find other things to do that same. I think you could find other ways to solve the problem. I don't think that this is the best way of doing it necessarily, but I don't think it was just like, I don't think it was like how every parent in every movie in the 80s, the kids had to have only one parent, like E.T. I don't think it was that cynical of a move, but
I never saw it as that cynical. I thought of it as so like specifically trying to make a point about hardworking single mom. And yes, I feel so slimy saying that because it's not at all how I feel as a person, as an adult, or as a husband. And that's why I challenged you. If you gave her a dad, it wouldn't sell me, an audience member that's looking at films different than you. I don't see it any different if she had 2 struggling parents, because the kids that are Uncle Eddie's kids in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the daughter knows that her parents are having a hard time. She's not super wise or super educated.
How old is the kid in that?
Is the little daughter? No, not the teenage daughter. This is like the 2 little kids that Eddie brings to the home, the family home for Christmas.
Yeah,
and his kids are like grade school. Like I can see them being the age of the older Cindy Lou. Yeah, she notices it. So to me, the audience member, because I am such a cynic, I looked at that as great. Yep, single mom. I get it. Move on.
I don't think that's what. I don't think it was that. I think it was. I genuinely think it was.
You pointed
I'm not
out?
saying. Yeah, I'm not saying it was a good, effective way of doing it. I'm just saying I think that was the motivation more than like single mom, strong women, which I don't care about either way. Like if they do that or don't do that,
I don't either. But it felt cheap to do it. Is maybe what I mean to say. It felt cheap to use it that way. And how you just pointed out, well, maybe that was the way that they sold the innocence of the child trying to talk to Santa to make mom's life easier. Yeah. So when you described it that way, I was like, well, shit, that makes it even worse to me, because then it was just a lazy choice. Now, I'm a little less cynical about the single mom part of this, but I'm just annoyed now that it's lazy choice. Yeah. Just like I thought it was kind of lazy when I have stuff in editing that I'm going to talk about. Yeah. So yeah, the loneliness Grinch just doesn't work for me. And also here's another just all 3 over each other kind of thing. The original Grinch was narrated by a horror actor, a British horror actor who was known for known for Young Frankenstein.
No, known for Regular Frankenstein.
So Regular Frankenstein. The second one was narrated by Anthony motherfucking Hopkins.
Silence of the Lambs.
Right. Silence of the Lambs. And also a genuine actor, like Broadway and film and writer. Like he is genuine deliverability in a script. And then Benedict Cumberbatch does the Grinch, and Pharrell Williams reads it to us. Look, Pharrell Williams sings in falsetto better than any other Black person I know. But he doesn't need to be reading my movies, because these other 2 films, it doesn't settle as this storyteller vibe. It doesn't have that for me. Yes, the accent brings part of that, but also the delivery brings part of that. Anthony Hopkins and the original 66 Grinch, which was who was it? Not Boris Karloff. It was who was the narrator?
I thought Boris Karloff was the narrator.
Hold on. Okay, it was Karloff. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So Boris Karloff and Anthony Hopkins have such genuine ability to read. Pharrell Williams is a fantastic record producer, and he is a fantastic like creative mind. I don't see him as a reader. So for me, it didn't have the same weight when he did the narration. And actually, I thought it sounded silly when he read the manner of speaking that Seuss originally had. So it removed some of the bite, and that's another reason I just think it's so soft-handed. It's let's make another Grinch, and it's the reason that of the three, it has the least staying power
Yeah,
of the three.
yeah. I almost completely disagree with you on
That's why we do
Pharrell.
this.
I think that I like the Anthony Hopkins version. I think Anthony Hopkins is always great, and the Boris Karloff version was great, except that it does sound like he had the worst microphone of the entire production.
Oh, okay, yeah, his audio quality is actually garbage. You're right.
It was like why is everything else fine and the narration
and he
is bad?
Sounds scratchy.
Yeah. But like neither of their performances was a problem for me. But Pharrell, if you put Pharrell's narration onto something like the 2000 version, I think it gives it it makes it more Susie to me. Because I think that the idea of I just think that the movie overall isn't as good as the others, but I think that Pharrell's narration is more like what I would.
So that's what elevated that. What you don't see as good a film. You thought that lifted it.
Yeah, like if you're gonna read Dr. Seuss, a Dr. Seuss book of any of them, but also like specifically the Grinch to a kid, are you gonna read it like Boris Karloff, or are you gonna read it like Pharrell? You're gonna
perfect. Okay, no,
unless you're being
example.
funny, unless you're being spooky.
Unless you're being funny, yeah. So same kind of narrative. When I talk about Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, do I want to read it more like Gonzo, or do I want to narrate it more like Alistair, or oh god, who was the other major British guy who did the like old 60s one? Whoever that guy did, it was a BBC production. But like I grew up in a theater household. So much of what I see as theater is a British accent. And it doesn't mean that other accents can't hit it, but I have such bias towards the 66 version and all the missing pieces it has that I think the 2000s lifted. But then like the 2018 took a dump on it, but a dump that doesn't smell as bad. It took like a delicate shit on it. Is how I see it, because there are so many little moments in the 2018 version that I didn't dislike, but the packaging was just so that you already saw things differently than I did. I
absolutely think
you say Pharrell lifted, and I'm like, oh no, it didn't.
I absolutely think you're right about like it being safer, it being softer, and I think that Pharrell's narration adds to that feeling. But I do think
I agree with that. He has such a soft delivery. No, right. I agree with that entirely.
But I do think if you had his narration on a different, it would take some of the edge off in a good way of the 2000 version. It would fit perfectly in the 66 version.
What edge do you feel in the 2000? Describe an example of it.
Like Jim Carrey, it being Jim Carrey for a good portion of it. Like there is I love the.
You mean him playing himself?
I love the 2000 version, and it's my favorite version, and I'm not going to knock it. But there is a lot of just let's let the camera roll, and Jim Carrey is being Jim Carrey. Like the whole getting ready montage, and there's so much, and
let's have it be The Mask, but a different shade of green.
Yeah, it's as much a Jim Carrey movie as it is a Grinch movie. And so
we actually brought this up in one of our previous episodes, that there are actors that when they play a role, it is that person playing the role of, not the role played by the person. So when Jim Carrey plays a character, he is Jim Carrey as himself in a role. It's not an actor that takes on a roll.
In pure comedies and The Grinch, I agree with that. I think, like, if you watch The Truman Show, I think he's transforms. I think if you watch
Okay.
Man on the Moon, he transforms.
Oh, Man on the Moon is one of my favorite films, even though
Eternal Sunshine.
Despite him. Oh, Eternal Sunshine is fantastic. So maybe I need to be clear. Yes, in comedies or that.
Oh yeah.
It is him playing a very specific, narrow.
It's Jim Carrey as the Riddler. It's the Jim Carrey Riddler. It's not Batman.
This is Jim Carrey as the Grinch.
It's yeah.
This is Jim Carrey playing the Grinch, like you said, mentioned getting ready. And also, again, for me, so many of the animated Grinch's mannerisms, especially with the fingers, the way he stands, his body language, Jim Carrey took on so much of that.
Yeah.
And it was like very much homage, paying respect to the animators that worked on the original 66 Grinch, because different than Disney, early animated studios really didn't exist the way now we have Pixar, Illumination Studios, we have DreamWorks. Yeah, Illumination. So the 1966 Grinch was animated by Warner Brothers and directed by Chuck Jones. The key animators on the project were Ken Harris, Lloyd Vaughn, Ben Washam, Tom Ray, Richard Thompson, and Phil Roman. These dudes took a text that had no adaptation and made one.
Yes.
Whereas it's different when you have something like a known quantity and you get one of the most prolific physical actors of his generation, Jim Carrey, to play the Grinch. Like, it was very, like, seriously, the fingers and body language were the biggest things that just stuck for me, the way it was done. Whereas Benedict Cumberbatch, yes, I know it's a voice, but he was even animated differently in the 2018. He wasn't as scraggly and unkempt. Hell, he's well groomed almost in the latest one.
When you watch the brush thing and it's just like
the brush thing. See, okay, that's another perfect example. Like, there's these little things that I'm like, that's funny. I like that. That's creative. I like that. The Rube Goldberg machine that made the coffee.
That's one thing that I thought was like, really funny, is that people were like, but in the two new versions, because Dr. Seuss worked on the 66, but in the two new versions and in the Mike Myers version of Cat in the Hat and all these other Seuss things, Rube Goldberg machines are such a big deal, and I'm like, they weren't in the books.
They weren't in the books the same way,
And I think it was just like people don't know what, like, because when Dr. Seuss was drawing, he would draw like weird, like if it was a thing, it would be like long and swoopy and, for something that's very simple, right? And so like people were like, okay, well, that translates to Rube Goldberg machines. They all have it.
They all have it. So for me, the animation is what brought down the 2018 and also in classic 2018, it has all of those hallmarks of a 2018 CGI film.
Yeah.
Like, so much of it, color palette, hyper detail on hair follicles and faces, but like lack of detail on other things. Like, there was so much that it's another of the time, but it's technology of the time, not method of the time, because of the render farms back then, that's what they were called, that would build some of these things could heat your house. So the idea that we can't build this on a computer that fits into a backpack as we can now means that, like, they had to make some compromises to get an audience to go, wow, look at that detail on the hair or the expressions, but then have less detail on things in the background that when it was hand animated, you had like that super high contrast. So depth of field is almost rocky and ugly on the 66 version. Like, when stuff's very, very far in the background, it's like fuzzy and the frame rate is like in frames per week instead of frames per second. Like, it just jolts around, right?
Yeah.
Whereas go ahead.
To animation thing for a second, though, I want to say, I think from everything I've seen of Illumination and DreamWorks animation, I think that they suffer from trying to compete with Pixar. I think that
100%.
I think that they don't have the story formulas, and they and
No.
I think they realize they can't do it that way, the way that Pixar does story wise. And Pixar also has amazing visuals, and so they, I think, sometimes overcompensate with detail to try
Yes,
to
I
like
agree with that
say, hey,
entirely.
and I think that like I love Shrek. I liked the first Despicable Me. I haven't seen all of them. The Minion movies by
Hmm.
themselves are terrible.
Yeah.
But like, like I liked the Grinch. Are you saying no to the Minion movies?
The Minion movies are freaking hilarious, but not because of the Minions,
When the
because of
Minions are the main
Gru.
characters? No, no.
Okay,
I'm saying
sorry.
Despicable Me. That's why I said Despicable Me
Sorry.
was good.
Despicable Me is great because Steve
Yes,
Carell is fantastic as
right.
Gru. But
And they
no,
do.
when the Minions are a movie, it's
Yeah. And I was gonna say, like, I think that DreamWorks and Illumination, their strength is in the fact that they can create, like, they're creating a story that works for the whole family in a different
yeah.
way than Pixar does. Pixar
They
is making a
are,
heartfelt warm for the whole family that everyone can get
but
touched by,
animated.
but
Yeah.
animated. And DreamWorks
I
slash Illumination is making, like, we're gonna make the adults laugh with the dirty jokes that are subtle, and then
yeah.
we're gonna make stuff for the kids that are like fart jokes that are subtle or that are like good for kids. And that's
I
a strong point, and they are, and I'm not like, so I don't knock it, but I also think that they do. If you watch sometimes when they're like, oh, this might not be the strongest for us to do a Shrek, where Shrek has a lot of dirty jokes, and like,
it's true.
and the Grinch has been done, and the Jim Carrey Grinch had a decent amount of dirty jokes in it.
It
The
did.
key party, and I loved the key party part. But it has a fair amount of dirty jokes, and I think they were like, we want to make a more genuine kids movie, so what we're going to do
Yeah.
is every single hair follicle is going to be like, it's
Yeah.
so fluffy, I want to
Yeah.
die. Like that
Yeah.
was the, it doesn't
So
bother me. It doesn't
you
stick
can
with me.
notice
It
it.
doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You can notice it in even the way that Universal handles them as IP.
yeah,
So touching on the Minions, for example, like it's not it's not the Despicable Me land at Universal Studios in Florida. It's the
yeah,
Minions land. Like and you touched on something that is making so much sense to me. Illumination Studios wants to find that one character that they can squeeze the flippin' life out of and make
yeah,
200 animated films about. And they found it with the Minions characters that were side characters in an original film. And it's still, for me, that is the height of their stuff. Like
yeah,
Despicable Me is the height of any of their animated films. Yes, the other ones were good. It's not that. That is the bar for me.
right,
And Pixar not only has Disney money, but has Disney influence and Disney distribution. So there are some damn Pixar flops, but you barely hear about them. And they
yeah,
even probably get a little more positive press than they should. When you look at The Grinch, as I was stating earlier, it's the least mimicked Grinch. So when you've quoted a Grinch movie, do you ever quote the 2018 one? I don't.
I've only seen it once before last night, so no.
Okay, so no, but then also in the way like I I've seen all three, and I will say that I don't ever think, ooh, let me pull a line from that one.
So this movie, the 2018 Grinch, comes
Hmm.
out 1 month, not to the day, but basically 1 month before Into the Spider-Verse. If it comes out
Okay.
3 years later than Into the Spider-Verse, do we think that it's the same movie? And I think the answer is no. I think Into the Spider-Verse was finally the thing that said, hey, you don't have to be Pixar and to do an animation.
Hmm.
Into the Spider-Verse, I think, is the best animated movie of the last 10 years in animation style, in story style. I
And I've
think
never
that
seen it.
you've never seen Into the Spider-Verse?
Nope.
Oh my God, it's the best Spider-Man movie. It's the best, like,
I okay, perfect example. I just the only superhero code or style movies that I've ever watched fully on my own because I wanted to, not for a date, not for a hand job, or not because someone else wanted to, was Iron Man. And it's because I really like how asinine Tony Stark is and
Yeah.
how full of himself he is, but how like weirdly flawed he is. Like his character, I can attach to so well that's why I care about it. Now, my wife loves Guardians of the Galaxy, all of them,
Yeah.
but she has some heart connections to some of the characters. She thinks Groot
Yeah.
is cute. I mean, hell, he's on her keychain. Like it's just a different thing for her. Whereas for me, I've never watched a Spider-Man movie. I've never watched an Avengers movie. I've never even tried to watch the animated stuff. Although, because I'm a big video game player, I've played all the video games on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But that's my
Do
extent of like connecting with the characters, you know?
When you get a chance, do yourself a favor, watch Into the Spider-Verse. You don't have
So
to be a
is this
Spider-Man
Illumination
fan.
or no?
No, it's not. It's Sony.
Right, it's Sony.
Um, but it changed what animation was. Like K-pop Demon Hunters, I don't think comes out if it wasn't for Into the Spider-Verse. Like
Oh, good point. And that is a
they change.
juggernaut right now.
Yeah, they changed the animation, what animation could be, because you got. So I'm gonna like, and I just think, when we're talking about the Grinch 18, it's whenever there's that, right before there's that thing that's gonna change everything, everything feels like it becomes really the same, right? And the Grinch 18 comes out literally 1 month before the thing that changes animation.
Good point. Okay.
And Into the Spider-Verse, just to give you a quick idea of what I'm talking about when I say it changes animation, there's obviously a great story. That's what a lot of people love about it. It can't work without a great story and without doing a lot of other things right. But when it comes to animation style on top of that, what it does is
a lot of films have followed it.
It takes so if you're familiar with the comics, you know that comics are done in a ton of different styles. So they'll have manga and they'll have standard American style superhero comics, and then they have the like what are the Riverdale kids, the Archie like style, and they have the Sunday morning comic strips in the back of the newspaper style, and over the years they've had so many styles. And so as they're introducing all these spin-off Spider-Man characters from the Spider-Verse, everyone is animated in the style of, and they interact across different animation styles. So you have one
that is fantastic sounding.
Yes, you have Spider Pig, who is essentially an animaniac, or whatever, in a Spider-Man suit. You have Spider-Man Noir, who is done in black and white, and when they give him like a Rubik's cube, he's like, "I'm gonna figure this thing out," and like it's Nicolas Cage, and so like it's
wow,
it's and when you go to the second,
I have missed out on this. Who knew a Grinch film would be like something that turned me on to like, no, you need to watch this shit.
You should watch, and then the second one expands upon it even more. And we're still waiting for the third one because the writer's strike really fucked that up. But if you watch those two, don't think I need to go see this because it's Spider-Man. Think I need to see this because it is visual art that I will, with a good story. That's all you need to know about it.
Which is very much the kind of thing that I want to see. And now that you're describing it, no, that is obviously a big change, because how you're describing it sounds like Into the Spider-Verse gave this idea that you don't have to have as much continuity with your visuals to have a captivating character cast or story in an animated film, whereas everything pre-Spider-Verse was all very intentional continuity. Color palette, sharpness level, saturation, style. Like for example, all the Pixar films that are Toy Story all have an identical visual style despite being made in very different eras.
Yeah.
They all have that same kind of take on it. Whereas now you're describing Into the Spider-Verse, where what you described, where they all are from a different era, that gave so much visual like interest and contrast on a screen that you said that makes the 2018 Grinch a flop if it came out around or after.
Right,
you
but I
think?
also think like it changes the game. If this Grinch got delayed by 3 years, it would be a different movie because of that. If like you need and that doesn't make this movie bad. It just
No,
makes this
no.
movie less of a stick out. Like think about there's probably some really good action sci-fi action movies that came out the year before The Matrix, and they're probably like
Oh, good point.
if you saw them when they came out, you're probably like amazing, but nobody remembers them now, and that's not because they were bad. It's because the thing that revolutionized things came along within 6 months, a year, whatever. Now, if they were 20 years ahead of time, it's different. You're like, well,
Yeah.
I had 20 years to remember that before the Matrix came and changed everything, or Into the Spider Verse came and changed everything, and so I
Okay.
think
Good
I think
call.
that this movie
Good call.
is. I mean, I literally this movie comes out November 9th, 2018. Spider Verse
Hmm.
comes out December 14th, 2018. Like where
So
you
yeah.
you had
So
Thanksgiving weekend,
and
and then
then, oh
after
wow,
Thanksgiving weekend, it was like never mind, it's all Spider Verse now. Like for if you're
wow,
animated and you're.
and right before gift season.
Mhm.
That's okay. That's crazy. So for me, as a big sci-fi fan, I know the ripple that those filmmakers did with the Matrix.
Yeah,
Like the like I really believe that at the time the Cohen brothers, no longer the Cohen brothers, um,
no,
made it.
the Wachowskis.
Oh, sorry, Wachowskis. You're right. Wrong one. So like there was just so much that that the Wachowskis did that caused ripples in narrative, manga, anime,
Yeah, yeah.
video games. Like that film has words and phrases we still use now to describe slowing time. Like
Hmm.
slowing down
Bullet
time
time.
got
Yep.
bullet time. It got an entire like thing. And
Yeah. Red pill.
into the Spider Verse, red pill, must you? Um,
I
so
had to
yeah.
have the conversation about red pilling with Logan the other day,
Oh
and I said,
no.
it comes from, and he goes, "Doesn't that come from the Matrix?" I'm like, "Yes, it does." And the
Yes, it
Matrix was made by
does. Smart kid.
two trans women who had not at that point in time come out as trans, and it's a metaphor for being trans. And I said, and all the people who talk about the red pill probably hate trans people, so they're a bunch of morons. And
Other interesting thing, The Matrix in all of my younger adolescent life was used as a study of religion. In fact, we watched it at our church because they likened Neo to Jesus. And the Wachowskis were devout religious people at that time. So there was like so much like partnering lines here. Funny
yeah,
that they're now trans, so stuff it, conservatives. Anyway, so yeah, I really think that like production wise, I we see the 2018 differently, but for different reasons. You're a
yes,
filmmaker, you look at things differently than I do, but we're noticing some of the same beats and some of the same visual elements. So as a more casual audience and as a more critical eye audience, you may even see the 2018 to be better than both of us, or you may even see it to be the absolute shit show that I think it is. So meh. Helpful versus defaming satire. Ooh. I really think the tone and pacing and the backstory of the second two films only exists obviously because the first film animated short is there.
yeah.
And I I personally feel this sounds ridiculous as an idea, but I'm gonna pan it to a filmmaker. Would you prefer what we have with an original 66 fully animated, a, and then two feature length films with entirely different casts,
Yeah.
live action and animated again? Or would you have rather had more like a Christmas Carol? It's the same thing, nearly identical, but with different stylistic takes. In other words, you're making the same movie but with different actors every time and a different like visual style, but it's literally beat for beat the same thing. Which would you prefer to
No,
have?
I prefer what we have, which is, you
Okay.
know, like the first one is very pure. The second one I think is very honest
Hmm.
and gets to the heart of the problem, which is probably of the time, of the commercialism. It's
Yeah.
one of the things that I think that this movie gets. It's one of the reasons why I think the 2000 the Grinch movie is the best Grinch movie,
It is.
probably one of the best Christmas movies of the last 30 years.
I can align with
Because
that.
it does it, like, we talked about A Christmas Story and like the cynicism, and there is cynicism in this that is then, but there's hope. There's, and so there is the
Yeah,
change.
the
Everyone,
only hope is a Red Ryder air rifle
right,
in A
but
Christmas
there's
Story. Like
no
that's
character
literally the only
change.
hope. There's no character change.
Yeah,
Yeah, this has that
and
full
whereas
turn.
and and it motivates everything well, and I think that it's great to show
Yeah,
that, like, yeah, the Grinch is not right, but he is not the
correct.
opposite of the right. He is the opposite of a different wrong.
I like
and
that.
and Cindy Lou Who is like, no, like, and I love that, like, because in the 2018 version, the
Mhm.
Who's don't bother me, but they're not, like, they don't mirror him the way I think it works. Like, once I've seen it done by the Jim Carrey's version, like, the Who's mirror the Grinch, in that, like, the Grinch is cynical, or he's hateful of
Okay,
Christmas, and they're cynical of Christmas, and Cindy Lou Who is like,
the
no,
Who's
you're
are cynical
wrong,
of
and
Christmas.
they absolutely, they think it's all about presents. They are in the
Oh,
2000.
like at first I thought
Yeah,
they were actively cynical. I'm like, no, they're not. They're actively enjoying
no, no,
themselves.
no.
But I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but they don't understand what Christmas is and what
No,
it's supposed to be.
lost
And
the plot
and
on what it's supposed to. The
yeah,
message, the reason for the
yeah,
season.
yeah. It's, as much as I never watched VeggieTales because I was too old. I remember seeing one clip of it where the some vegetable goes, Billy has more toys than you do. Mom,
Probably the
Billy
cute.
has more toys than I do. And then who's Billy? I don't know, but he has more toys than I do. And that is what Christmas, like, that came out around the same time.
Yes.
And it's like, that is what Christmas became for a while. Hopefully, I think it can arguably still be that, unfortunately. But, like, it's this idea of, like, it's like, Cindy Lou Who doesn't care about the presents. It's not even like, it's not even so much like, oh, this is not the present I wanted, but it's something that was given to me, so it's sweet and it's perfect. Once the presents are gone, she's like, but that's not
Yeah,
Christmas. You didn't take
but that's not.
Christmas.
Yeah,
You took, and, like, we still have each other, and then her parents backing her up and having her back, and, like, them being the first ones to be like, you're right. Like, this is what Christmas is about.
that's
It's
the
having
full
you
circle.
five,
Yes,
and
the
they
the
and so, like, it
2000
starts with
shows that full
her,
circle
leads
better.
to her family, and then the whole town, with the exception of the mayor, kind of follows her family, so it, like, spreads outwards, this warmth and genuineness. And then when the Grinch shows up and he's like, I'm sorry, I did it, and the mayor says, did you hear what he said? He said he did it. And he goes, I did hear what he said. He said he's sorry. And, like, the cop
Yep.
is on his side now, and, like,
Yeah,
and
the Irish
and so,
cop,
like,
which is so
yeah,
funny that it had to be an Irish cop. I was
which,
like, of
like,
course he's an Irish cop.
you made the comment that Cindy Lou Who is the main character of the 2018 version, and I think that
Hmm.
that is true. That is correct. She's not the main character, but she is the pinnacle point. She's the focal
Okay.
point of the 2000 version. She doesn't have the
Yeah.
most screen time or anything, but, like, you're not going to give anybody but Jim Carrey the most screen time, obviously. But at the same time, you have her, like the Who's don't become better because of the Grinch, and the Grinch doesn't become better because of the Who's. They all become better because of Cindy Lou Who, and Cindy Lou Who's understanding that they're wrong and he's wrong, and his wrongness is not making your wrongness right, and vice versa. You need to come back to this. This is what it is. And that's why I think it's amazing, because you don't have just the Grinch is a crotchety old man who everybody's nice to, but he's just mean. It's like, no, he has good reason to be mean. Like,
Yeah.
he was genuinely humiliated as a kid, and then when he goes back to become the cheermeister, the mayor, who is, like, the only real bad person,
That's
is,
true.
but, like, everybody else is kind of like cowardly sycophants who were like, yeah, the mayor's right, shave your gross face, and so like they all are like that, whereas Cindy Lou Who's like, he's sweet, like nobody deserves to be alone, which the 2018 version says too, like nobody deserves to be alone on
You
Christmas,
could, yeah,
and
and the 2018 version
she's
could
the
have
focal
delivered
point.
that to, yeah, and the 2018 version could have delivered me "No One Should Be Alone" without me having to see him go get groceries because he ran out in the beginning of the film. And
Yeah,
my
I
my
think
my
that
big
I think that in order to the grocery thing is, again, it's another clumsy way of doing what they needed to
yeah
do, which is show the way that the Grinch is with the Who's. And the 2000 version, you have the Who teenagers treating him like a haunted house, like the way that
yeah
kids go to a haunted house, and so you see he is kind of being alienated by the teenagers in that way, and we have see the backstory, but we also see like all of the initial reactions and the way that they,
yeah
don't say the Grinch, we don't talk about the Grinch,
he's nearly a
and so they're,
boogeyman. Like he's a
yeah,
real boogeyman in the
yeah,
2000s that they're truly afraid of. He's not just, like you mentioned, a crotchety neighbor, which is how he felt
right.
in the 2018 version. And I always like, I've not found any real criticism on this specifically, but why wear the mask? Like when he went down to town in the beginning of the
Didn't
2018
he?
film, he took it off, but he originally had a mask over his face. And I'm thinking, was this because they would like give him shit if he wasn't wearing one, if he'd recognize him? Or was this because
Oh.
he didn't want to be recognized, because then he can fly under the radar and get out, because he's more of like a loner, and he doesn't want to have conversations with people, like he's real, like he just wants to be left alone. He's very Greta Garbo. I don't know which of
Is
those
it?
two, if there was like genuine conflict or he just wants to be left alone. I don't know which of those two were taking place, but I didn't understand the
I
mask, because if he was that cool to just go down there in the first place, you know?
I
Yeah.
don't remember the Grinch wearing the mask in the 2018 version. I remember him wearing it in the 2000 version. He's got the big, like, almost like um V for Vendetta mask on. Remember? Uh,
Oh, sorry. No. I'm messing up the two of them. You're right. He didn't do it in the 2018 version. And I thought that was
he just went
weird
down
that
as
like
himself.
he just went down as
It
himself,
made
whereas
more
he tried to
sense.
hide in the 2000.
Yeah,
That's more what I said. I got the movies flipped.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And
So
I
in the
think it works
2018 version,
better.
he's just
Yeah,
crotchety old neighbor. He's
yeah.
just a weird
To
green
me,
crotchety neighbor.
if the way that they depicted him from the point of view of the Who's in the 2018 version is the way that Kevin McAllister sees the old man neighbor or the old lady, the pigeon lady, where
The
it's
pigeon
like
lady, yeah,
they look scary and they're
but they're
really
not.
nice, but he
Yeah.
actually is really nice, or he actually is really not very nice and a little scary. And so, like, that is not the same thing to overcome as, like, oh, he scares children because he looks scary.
You know
That
what?
would have
That
worked for
adds
me
to the
too.
soft. Yeah, that adds to the
Yeah.
soft-handedness of it.
Yes.
Is it, like it adds to the soft rebrand of the Grinch. And I'm agreeing
Yeah.
with you. My original question was, do you like what we have, or would you have wanted to be the same thing, just literally done over? And no,
Yeah.
I prefer what we have, which is two feature-length films out of an animated short. The reason I prefer it is because we can have conversations like this
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
differences, and we give artistic license to actors and actresses and voice actors and
Yeah.
animators to make something different
Yes.
with source material, and not be afraid to run off path, because
Absolutely.
seriously, we have had some rebrands, remakes, or remasters of films, and it happens in video games too. They just
Yeah.
don't hit, or the audiences, it doesn't hit commercially, or it doesn't hit
Yeah.
audience wise, because in the case of video games, so you're going to charge me $55 because you just don't want to preserve the old one. You want to punch up the
Hmm.
graphics and then charge me more, even though I already own it. And then in the case of
Yeah.
films, it's like bad fan service. You're going to
Oh,
make me another blank when I not only didn't ask for it, but it feels cheap. So I like that we have what we have now.
Yes.
And the Whoville problem, I like my problem with them is very much, I would rather, here's my criticism of the three editing wise, I would have rather have Whoville always look consistent throughout the three
Yeah.
visually, but also be presented the same. Because again, in the 66, it's Whoville, weird serendipity land where they don't
Yeah.
understand the meaning of Christmas and they're isolated, but they're isolated from the Grinch like a leper.
Yeah.
He willingly went up to like the 2000 is the only movie that really solidified how he got up there because he was ostracized. In the 66, he
Yeah.
was just, oh, he ran away. It was never
Yeah.
really touched on because it almost didn't matter and there wasn't the time. So
Yeah.
I would have rather the Who thing be more consistent across the three, because then also that would have solidified the consumerism angle. And that
Yeah.
I think the Grinch is almost like a Marxist or like a weird socialist because he wants no commercialism. He wants everybody to be happy, but he only comes to that later on.
Yeah.
And the Who's are like crazy capitalists. They all can't wait
Yeah.
to buy their Who danglers and their poo pooers and eat the roast
Yeah.
beast. Like they want all of these things. And as a person who normally finds organized religion pretty vile, well, its bad parts, I enjoy how these movies never ever have a religious angle that's overt, which I
Yeah.
appreciate because it's literally dangling like right there in front of you the entire time. But it's just
Yeah.
always just walked around like it's not even there, not for the sake of not talking about it, but because it doesn't matter. You can just be
Yeah.
good and enjoy people, which are the real gift of Christmas, and family and togetherness and community. Like that's what they sell as
Yeah.
the real Christmas. And I have fixes of the three and things I'd want taken out of the three. Do you have anything like that?
Sure, of course. Well, I want to address what you just kind of said. You said a lot. As
Sorry.
far as the three different versions, I like that they did it that way too. I agree that like, I think about the two franchises that I think about when you can get either stuck in canon or not stuck in canon are James Bond, which we've
Oh
had
yeah.
six Bonds, and they're very different
Hmm.
styles, which has been
Hmm.
great. Like there is no
I agree
nobody's
with that.
like if when they announce the next Bond, no one's gonna be like, really, not Sean Connery, like.
Good
But
point.
the other end of the spectrum is Wolverine. And I know you just said you're
Okay.
not a big comic book fan, but you've got to be familiar with the fact that Hugh Jackman's been playing Wolverine for 25 years. He retired from
Yes.
the role 9 years ago or 8 years ago,
Hmm.
and he's made another movie, and he's announced that he's coming back for another one since retirement. And there's a part of it where they kept talking about like who's going to be the next Wolverine, and then it never happened. And then and it's because at this point like unfortunately, the person who does replace him when it eventually comes is going to fail unless they are amazing. And then the next
Yeah.
person will be the palate cleanse. We don't have that with series that have kind of been going forever, right? Like if, Daniel
Okay.
Craig for a little while was considered some people's definitive Bond. I don't
He's
think
not.
if you got an Idris Elba, then you would like. I don't think there's certain people. I think they're not gonna be like, oh, he's not as good as Daniel Craig. Like everyone will have their preference, but it won't be like a universal. Like whoever follows Hugh Jackman is on a fool's errand, but somebody has
Good
to do
point.
it eventually, right? And
Yeah.
so when you have something like the Grinch, where you have the very straightforward Dr. Seuss worked on it and wrote the music for it, Grinch of '66, and then you keep a lot, like you keep a lot of the same story beats. You even keep the two songs that were written for it, right? Both
Hmm.
songs are still in both versions,
That's
in
true.
all
Yep.
three versions. But you then say, okay, well now we have a different cultural landscape in association with Christmas. Let's talk about consumerism. And I
Yeah,
think
like
that that
address
was a
it more
great way.
directly. Yeah.
they addressed it pretty. I mean, it's pretty specific. Like, it's not like
It is.
if you made the Jim Carrey version today, after like people with after if there had been no Jim Carrey version, just the '66 version, people would say it was preachy now. But because you did that in
Good call.
2000, you can get away with it. Just similar to like whenever they say, "Oh, sci-fi." Like, when did Star Trek become political, or when did comic books become political? And it's like they've always
hasn't been.
They always have been. And if you don't know that, that's on you. And so we have that shot down. The Grinch, I don't think that the Dr. Seuss version was, but now it has been for 25 years. It's been cultural, not political, but you know what I mean? Like something that I think would be considered preachy. And I actually think that the 2000 version, again, undercuts the 2018 version a little bit, because if you made the 2018 version with no 2000 version, you'd be like, yeah, it's okay. That's a good update from the 66 version. But now that you've had a version that said something.
Yeah.
But if you have the 2000 version, which says something, and then you have the 2018 version, which doesn't really say much. Like, it's fine.
You're right.
It's good enough.
It doesn't make a point without being heavy-handed. So that gave the 18 a chance to, okay.
And it's and now the 2000 version is a point that I think like everybody acknowledges while not necessarily doing, right? So like it's not the same as taking a strong stance on a divided topic, right? It's not. Everyone can be like, yeah, Christmas has become too commercial, and you could say that, you can give that lip service without thinking or doing anything else about it. So that doesn't have this strong, like, it's not like it was pro-gay marriage or whatever was the topic. What other topics of the 2000s? It didn't go
heavy
of 2000.
Right.
Yeah. It didn't take some strong stance, but it took a stance and it had something to say. And
like, it took a stance that was poignant but delicate, or sorry, poignant but approachable.
Yes. Right. Okay. Right. Exactly. You can do that now.
So my cut from each for 66 is Max is too anthropomorphic and it bothers me. So when he shrugs, dogs don't shrug. And in the second two films, obviously in the second film, he's a real dog. But in the third film, like, he is a dog. He does dog things. He has dog mannerisms. He misses the Grinch. He's angry at the Grinch for not taking him places when he like goes to his bed and tries to hide from the Grinch. So there's more dog.
He gets jealous of Frank.
Oh, Frank, exactly. So
Frank is the best part of that movie, by the way. The best addition that they had was Frank.
I agree with that. So for me, Max being too anthropomorphic is just silly, but that was very much of the time, because something that was silly was to give animals human characteristics, and that was also a Seuss thing. So
there's also I want to just say about the 66 thing. It's very animation of its time, as far as like they do the like run off the cliff, notice, and then drop. Like, there's it's very Looney Tunes-ish in a lot of ways.
It is.
And I think that Max follows that as well. That was the visual animation language of the time. If you weren't Disney, you were doing something like Hanna-Barbera or
good call.
Or Looney Tunes.
Or Looney Tunes. Good call. And maybe that's, to me, what makes it silly and I didn't like it as much. I watched those cartoons as a kid, but when I watch a cartoon, that's what I expect to see. Dr. Seuss, I expect to see something a little different and super human-looking things like the Who's and the Grinch. I didn't need my dog to look human too. In the 2000 version, and I loathe these, but I know it was of the style, is the address the camera jokes. I don't like them. They're stupid. It's a Jim Carrey thing, but it also was that era thing. Like, until like 2005, we were getting characters breaking third wall, addressing the camera, saying a super obvious joke that any idiot can find funny, and then going back to the action, like to become the moment everyone talks about. I don't like them. Get it out of there.
I don't like them I think that they need to be used specifically in specific ways when they gets done.
They can be done delicately and more intelligently. When it's just straight,
or they can be done stylistically.
Okay,
stylistically.
stylistically too. Yeah. But when it's
Yeah.
just everything the same, address the camera, deliver stupid joke, go back to action. No. Like I
Yeah.
understand that you have to make films for everyone. You can't just make films for film nerds. I get that, but there are third wall breaking or meta shifting kind of actions that don't have to be that heavy
Oh yeah.
handed. And also
Yeah.
the 2018 and 2000 version, I'm not saying padding. They have too much padding, and I'm not saying padding in the sense that they shouldn't have been feature length films. No, they should have, but they didn't
Yeah.
need as much padding to describe characters or to do a scene. I think the 2000 was a little more effective with its
Yeah.
use of time than the 2018 version. And in the 2018,
Yeah.
I've already talked about it, the single mom angle, but in this very hour that I've been talking to you, Mike, I completely I can still criticize it, but it's for a different reason, is because it was just a more lazy way to purify Cindy Lou in her quest for the meaning of Christmas, rather
Yeah.
than it was just a way to put a single mom in a 2018 movie, which is how I felt when I initially saw it.
All right. So hot takes. This is my first hot take. I'll go
Here it
easy
comes.
on the first
Here
hot
it comes,
take.
folks.
Christine Baranski in the 2000 version is the hottest Christine Baranski's ever been. And like, because I never really thought of her as
Oh,
hot, and I've seen that movie a
oh,
million times, but like, keep in mind she's older there than we are now, right? She's
do
45,
not care.
46 in that
She
movie.
looked
So like,
fantastic.
but like, no, but like when that movie came out, I was like 20 or 15, right? I was 15, so like I wasn't thinking about her then, but now as a 41-year-old, I'm like, oh, okay. And I told, I texted you during it, like, what if I get Sarah that outfit and dress her up like Martha May
Martha May
Huvier?
Huvier.
Um, yeah.
No,
But
no,
so
you
that's
know
my
what?
first,
Okay, that's not a hot
that's
take.
my
I'm
gentle
actually
hot
with
take.
it. That's your general hot
Yeah.
take. No, no, I'm really with it. It's
Okay. My
interesting. That's
next
what it
hot
is.
take. Yeah.
Yeah,
My next hot take
yeah.
is, this one is not like wild. Nobody's going to be like offended by this, but people are going to like, have you seen you just said you hadn't seen that many comic book movies, so like I'm worried this is not going to stick with you.
Oh
Have you
no.
seen the Tim Burton Batmans at least?
Yeah, enough of them that
Okay.
I'm probably going to catch your point.
Okay. Tim Burton, because his style is so specific, when he was making the Batman movies, they were shot in sound stages. And
Mhm.
not and like it feels like it was shot in a soundstage because that doesn't really exist, and
It's
you
a
can
little
have that
more
feel.
compact.
Yeah, as opposed to like the Christopher Nolan ones, shot in Chicago and shot, and sure, there's probably plenty on there that is sound stages, but they're like inside on sound stages. They're not like the stuff that's supposed to be outside is in sound
It
stages
has a
as well.
different stance. Like it feels
Yeah,
different when you're
exactly.
looking at it. The soundstage is more compact.
Yeah, this movie feels like Tim Burton's Batman movies. Like when they're in the town
The
square and like
2000 or the
everything's
2018 or
accessible.
the 2000. Okay.
The 2000, when they're in this town square and
Uh
every
huh.
single location except for Mount Crumpet is within like pissing distance essentially. That
Okay.
feels to me, especially because there's the things that are the architecture is very specific and weird. If you just put some stripes on things, that is a Tim Burton soundstage 100% for me. It's like this feels like and
Okay.
weird because Ron Howard has never done anything like this. Like
This is one of his
he
biggest
did Apollo
departures.
13,
Yeah.
Beautiful Mind. He does these movies that I think of as very kind of grounded, basic, it's hard to tell what
Artistic
is and
films,
isn't
but
shot. Yeah. Artistic, but also kind of cookie cutter artistic.
yeah,
This is
yeah, the
so,
artistic that like
if,
the Academy loves because it's just so
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah,
Between the like there's a lot of like real like almost fisheye lens shots and
it's true.
architecture for trying to make it Dr. Seussy architecture, but like and you're in a soundstage. If you didn't put a name on this and told me Tim Burton directed it, that would make more sense to me than Ron Howard directing this movie. like 100%. Although
Dude,
it wasn't Johnny Depp playing the Grinch.
seriously, right now that you say that, like I keep thinking of scenes and I'm like, oh my god, that is really compact. Wow, that has no depth of field. Like the entirety of the set is like this deep. Like it does have that like truncated feel that again, because you're a filmmaker, soundstage method is very much about controlling shooting angles so that you never go too far outside of your scope, because you have to keep it in that frame, so it doesn't have as natural of a feel as the later Batman films that were on location / soundstage, whereas this is like, it looks like the back lot at Universal. It, very specific.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like they built it so you could walk through it at Universal is exactly correct. Like if they built Batman World like this, Batman World and Grinch World could go right next to each other, and there would only be a slight tonal shift. Also, Batman Returns is a Christmas movie, so like you have Christmassy stuff in that movie, and there's that like weird, like that snow doesn't look like real snow in any of the town. Like on the mountain it looks like real snow, but on the like ledges of the buildings it looks like styrofoam.
It looks like styrofoam, and it might actually
I'm
be
trying to
maybe
find
I could even believe that it wasn't real, and nor do I care if it looks real, if that lands. There are sometimes when effects and set dressing can look fake, and I kind of want it to look fake because I know what I'm looking at isn't real, and I'm fine with that. And if it looked too realistic, it would break immersion. If it looked too real, I'd be like, that's out of place. Why does that face or why does that hand look so realistic?
Yeah. Click what I just sent you. Like, and it's, are you clicking it?
I
sent it in studio chat.
No, I know you did, but this is gonna be interesting because it's gonna probably stop my camera to do it. Oh yeah,
it'll stop your video for a second, but that's okay.
Gotham reacts to Dark Knight's demonic side. Okay,
it's like that. Like everything is in a giant room, not like outside. There's, and I couldn't escape that feeling the whole time.
I can see how you describe that.
That I'm sharing with you.
Yeah. Note to Mike, when editing, put the picture up over our ugly faces. So no, I can see that. I agree with you that that Martha May Whovier is probably her most attractive role. And to me, Christine Baranski, she does kind of play the same character and everything, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that Tanya and Mamma Mia or Diane Lockhart in The Good Wife are much different than Mary May Whovier or Martha May Whovier. But I like her most as Martha May Whovier.
Yeah.
Because
I like that she's
me,
never really 100%. Like she's not outspoken enough for the Grinch, but she's to like defend him, but she's never on the wrong side. She's just like quiet, like about it. Like,
the muscles.
Like even when she says, "Did I have a crush on him?" No, I didn't ask you that.
No.
Okay.
I love that. Did I have a question? No, I didn't ask you that. And also her character, even in Sybil, which is television stuff, it always feels like Christine Baranski is not fully committed to a role because she really is just playing herself. Like it doesn't feel like she's super in a character. I can see did you watch any of Entourage? So okay, when people would play themselves in Entourage, even though they are an actor, it was showing so much of how they really do play the same person in different roles, kind of like Jim Carrey does. Christine Baranski I really think that's how she acts when the camera's off. And that's why it is so kind of natural for her to be like this comedic, nice, attractive Cruella DeVille / hot divorcee neighbor kind of a thing. Like she has that ilk about her, and her physical, the way she acts her characters physically, the way she acts her characters it's very specific to the way that she carries her posture
Yeah.
and makes sure that you're always aware that it's Christine Baranski playing the character.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that entirely. It is sort of typecast, kind of like Jim Carrey is, but it's almost in a nice way.
Yeah.
So what's your 2018 hot take? If you don't, unless you have one, because clearly you like this one better than I did.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie doesn't feel like it deserves a hot take, to be honest. Like
Okay.
it is. It's not. It wasn't bad. It wasn't. It was not. In a world where we have the Jim Carrey version and we have the '66 version, this version didn't add anything new except for Frank that stuck with me. That I will be like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Eh.
Fair.
I will say this one thing. It's not a hot take, but last year this was on in the background. The 2018 version was on in the background while we were at my sister's house the week of Christmas or whatever.
Mhm.
And we weren't watching it. The kids were watching it, and I said, "Oh, Cindy Lou Who's really cute in this version." And my mom says, "Of course you think she's really cute in this version. They drew Sarah."
I love it. Okay. Okay. I like it. I like it.
So,
Of course you think it's fun. They drew Sarah.
yeah.
All right. Now I can see it, but at the same time, my hot take for the 2018 is I don't need a hip hop Grinch.
No.
And it's okay. I can say that and be critical, even though I'm a fan of that style of music, and it's probably about 50% of what I listen to.
Yeah.
I don't want a hip hop Grinch the same way I don't want a rap Despicable Me. And actually, those are my least favorite musical styles that are in Illumination's films because they don't need to be. And Pharrell Williams being a fantastic producer, like I mean, genuinely fantastic. Him being the narrator is what killed that movie for me, which is why I am 66 over all of them if I can only have one. But if I get to pick two, 18's out.
Yeah. So,
Is really
speaking
how
of
I
hip
feel.
hop Grinch, are you familiar with the 2000 soundtrack for the 2000 Grinch? Because there's a Jim Carrey Busta Rhymes song on there, and Jim Carrey raps on it, and it is Jim Carrey at the beginning going, "This is a Jim Carrey flip mode squad collabo." Like, and he sounds more. I can't. That was more Doctor Evil than the Grinch, but
That
like,
was a little more Doctor Evil, but that was still funny. That was
and
still funny.
and
Okay.
I remember listening to it, and my dad being like, "I don't want you listening to rap."
Right. Yep. I can absolutely hear my dad saying that.
Like
I don't
it's the
want you
Jim,
listening to rap.
it's the Grinch rap.
It's the Grinch rap, Dad. Like it's cool.
They're not rapping about bitches and blunts.
Not this time.
No.
So yeah, that I'm with that, and also the 2000 for me. The studio notes are it's the lasting narrative, and it's characters that I gave a shit about, even though I knew the outcome.
Okay.
I knew what was going to happen because not only have I seen the movie before, but I saw the 66 version.
Yeah.
And even though on this watch through, I watched them out of order, chronological order, I still knew the outcome in all three of these. And I still like kind of cared about the characters a little more.
Yeah.
And then the 66, for me, it's all killer, no filler, except for Max being annoying. That's my one really like, ugh, okay, we get it. Sorry, I'm not in front of the sleigh. Sorry, Grinch. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
Best overall 2000s. Best Grinch is 2000. Best Whoville is 66 because to me it was so specifically what Dr. Seuss wanted.
Yeah.
And it also is the one that has, like I was mentioning earlier, that color palette that's like pastel but still bold, like with the outlines. It still has bold outlines, but it's pastel in saturation.
Yeah.
Best rewatch is 2000, and as you can tell, I never put the 2018 in anything except for worst offender, and that is the one that commits the most crimes is the 2018, and it's for me because it took so much license with the formula that worked and tried to, I think, make another Illumination Studios star,
Yeah.
and it kind of failed. And Benedict Cumberbatch, I am so glad they didn't make the Grinch look like him, because I think he's one of the most unattractive male actors there is. I also like that I got to see him as a voice actor, because he's not a bad voice actor. If this is the example,
Yeah.
he's just not a great Grinch.
Yeah. All right. So my take on, like what I recommend is, what I would say for the first one, the 66 version, I would say if someone's like, "Oh, which Grinch should I watch?" I would say, well, do you want like just the classic Grinch story, or do you want something a little more up to date? And either that would dictate which of the first two I would recommend. Um, the third one, so the first two would get a recommendation just depending on the audience, essentially. The third one, if you asked me, "Oh, should I watch the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch?" I'd be like, or is the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch good? I'd be like, it's fine. Like, yeah, like you're not gonna. It's not like a waste of 90 minutes, but like I'm not going out of my
No,
way to
I
recommend
agree
it.
with that. Yeah, no, I can align with that.
So, all right. So should we do ratings?
Ratings as in what?
Our fun watchability and quality
Oh yeah,
ratings.
yeah. Sorry, rating. Yeah. No, I'm ready for it.
All right.
All
So
right, so you
Grinch 60,
first.
Grinch 66. I would say it's a 7 for fun and watchability. I almost went higher because 25 minutes, like it is like at no point was I like because it's so short, it almost deserves a higher score just based on
Okay, yeah,
like you don't expect to be bored in 25 minutes. You're never bored in the 25 minutes.
yeah, agreed.
So like 7, it's solid. And then quality, I would say 7. That's partly just because I don't love that era of animation. It doesn't have like I like the Looney Tunes, but like none of that is like stuff I want to like necessarily go back and watch anything specific of, right?
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
so like if I'll watch a new story like if you said, "Oh, here's a 66 Looney Tunes era thing," I'd be like, I'd watch it. I don't know that I'd rewatch any of it. Like you know what I mean? Because it's just that
You
animation style
know,
is like fine, but it's not
I agree with
rewatchable.
that entirely. I'm not going to go watch the Christmas specials for all the different Hanna-Barbera
Yeah,
characters, but I'll watch this one. Good
right.
call. Yeah.
Right. So like it's a little bit better than those, but it's like it's partly just the era for me. But
Yeah.
again, it's 25 minutes. So if Sarah was like, "I want to watch the original Grinch next year,"
Yeah.
I would be like, "Yeah, okay."
Before she dresses as Martha May Whovier, or while she's dressed as Martha May Whovier,
I don't know. We'll see. Whatever she's willing to do.
whatever she's willing to
Um,
do.
okay, what is your 66 ratings?
So for 66, my fun and watchability is 8, because it is like you mentioned, all killer, no filler. I am not bored. I'm not annoyed by the visual style. In fact, in comparison, I prefer it as far as the way it was handled. But it is just darn fun,
Yeah,
because it's so compact
yeah,
as an experience, that it fit. Not only did it obviously fit in a half an hour time slot on television, it also fit the expectation, you know
yeah,
what I mean, of that specific era, and of that film's and Dr. Seuss's intent. And then for quality, I'm like you. It's not my favorite era, but for the quality of an animated short, as I am not an animator in any way, I make mostly long form content. I can appreciate it. 7 on quality.
yeah. All right, and then Grinch 2000. Uh, it's a 9 for watchability. There is nothing I want to skip over, and it's the longest version. There's nothing I want to skip over. There is a lot of it where, like, it's one. I grew up on Jim Carrey, and Sarah, Sarah said the other day when we were watching it that this is one of her like top 10 favorite movies, not just Christmas movies. Like
Okay,
she
wow.
she starts watching this early, and Logan goes, Logan goes, "That's a wild take, Mom."
Wow, mom.
But like because it's one of those ones where like Sarah and I, there is a fair amount of quoting it. Like I didn't like Christmas for so long that like for a few years ago, when the little Grinch comes on and goes, "I hate Christmas," Sarah would be like, "It's Daddy," uh, and
Oh.
And so, I mean, that did kind of make me go, I need to change before he realized, like, he starts associating me with
Yeah.
that. But,
Oh
but
gosh.
like, there's so many quotable things in it, so many
There
moments
is.
that are like crazy and weird and fun. I recently watched a reel of two people playing this game where you have to like slap a letter. It's all A through Z. You have to slap the letter and do a quote from a movie. You've seen the clip? And they're
Mhm.
like doing this movie, the 2000 Grinch, and they're like, and then they're doing the line of like dinner with myself. I just can't cancel that again. And like there's so many good like quotes. So it has that. And
There
then
is.
again, okay. Oh, so
Self-loathing.
when we go to quality, I will say that I think the quality mostly comes for me from the like the understanding of the story and the
Okay.
way that they like the writing, and because I think that they did a really good job of getting that dynamic right that I was talking about earlier between like the Who's kind of being really just like gimme gimme gimme, and the
Okay.
Grinch being like fuck it all, and Cindy Lou Who being like, guys, that's not what this is about, and
Hmm.
like Mr. Grinch, why don't you come spend time with us, like, and like healing everybody, like Cindy Lou Who healing everybody over their own problems that one side doesn't know they have, the other side doesn't think is a problem, like, and they I think that that dynamic, I think that it makes the Grinch's turn back to like being a good guy more believable than either version. I also think that it makes it just kind of like it feels more complete full story than either of the other versions.
Yeah.
So that's why like but I also think like there's a lot of Jim Carrey like stuff in there. There's a lot of like I don't love use of I actually really hate fisheye lens most for the most part. So like there's a lot of weird like camera angle stuff. So that's why I'm not giving it like an 8, 9, or a 10, is because I think that like there is a lot of weird decision making that isn't necessarily Dr. Seuss related. It's just more like, oh, we're gonna make this a Jim Carrey flip
Yeah.
mode squad collabo. And
Yeah.
okay, so what is your ratings for
So yeah,
Grinch 2K?
for Grinch 2K, the year the world didn't come to an end, it was an 8 for fun and watchability
Yeah.
because it is genuinely that fun. It is max chaos, which I was listening to Daft Punk Alive, the 2007 version, and and she was hearing that and she says, "How is that? How are you not insanely annoyed at how loud and repetitive that is?" I'm like, "That's exactly what I want." So my autism and ADHD loves maximum chaos and then maximum silence.
Yeah.
So for me, that film, yes, the fisheye stuff, I'll get to that in quality and the filmmaking decisions, but just as a fun movie, yeah, I'm putting this sucker on any of my nieces, any of my nephews, any of my family. You want to watch it? I might even sit down for the whole thing, which is
Yeah.
pretty difficult for me to do. Um, for quality, I'm a 7
Yeah.
because, again, just like you, there were some let's make a Jim Carrey Grinch that I felt carried over. And it did feel a little bit like The Mask. It felt a little bit like the really low angles looking up at him. There were a lot of very extreme filmmaking decisions. But as we talked about early, they're of the time.
Yeah.
So the quality, like the cutaway break third wall joke. I get it. That's why it gets a 7 because to me, there are no crimes of cinema in this, but there are white lies of cinema. There's lies by omission. There's crimes of convenience.
Yeah.
That's what took place here, not like you straight screwed the pooch.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Right. All right. And then Grinch 2018. I changed it since what I told you. I changed it to quality. Oh, I think I changed it in the wrong columns. No, I did. Uh, Fun and watchability, I gave it a 6. Um, it's not something that I'm like, I want to watch again. If somebody put it on, it's not like gonna be the worst thing in the world. But like,
Mhm.
like there's nothing that stands out for me to make it like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like, um,
Your statement of standout. I like how you pointed that out. There's nothing that I'm like, wow,
yeah,
like moment.
Yeah.
that doesn't have any of them. That's true.
Right. And then for quality, it's 7, which I gave to the other two. But this one to me is because the anime. I mean, I think visually this is the most impressive. I think that like when
I'll
you
agree with
look
that.
at the craftsmanship of like the animation, now
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to judge based on one not being animated. So you made like live action sets, which is a big deal, and then the other one being you know almost 60 years old
Yeah.
like for their animation, so it's hard to compete. So but I'm trying to not be like I'm just trying to grade them on their own uh and not in comparison to each other. Not entirely possible to do that, but I think that like if we're looking objectively, the animation in this is visually impressive, at least a 7.
Yeah.
This is a C, at least a C
Hmm.
visually. And so I think and the sound quality is good. Like there's nothing that stands out as being bad. Like if this had like a story that gripped me, uh, and like the story was writing, I think that I would, because
Yeah.
I consider writing part of the quality, right? So like if it
I
had a
agree with that.
story that really got me, or it's some unique factor about it that made this stand out, I could see this being a 9 quality. Like it is visually like up to that par of like if this stood out, like I said before when I was talking about Into the Spider-Verse, if that story didn't work, the animation isn't going to make that big difference. But like it works all over. This one works animation wise. It just doesn't. Nothing else is like making it last for me.
Yes. And I echoed some of those same, but my ratings are much more critical. So for fun and watchability, it's a 4, which
Yeah,
is half of the other two. And
yeah,
that's because I genuinely didn't enjoy it because I don't find it fun. I
yeah,
find it either arduous or worse, disingenuous to the other
yeah.
two films.
I
I
will
know
say,
what to expect coming into this, and I didn't get it.
yeah. I will say this, and I would give maybe we revisit this one next Christmas. I know you're going to hate that, but we visit this one on its own because
Ooh, okay.
I don't. Did you watch them chronologically?
No, that's what I'm saying. I didn't. I was 2066, 2018.
Okay, I watched 2018 third as well. I watched them
Okay.
chronologically. I wonder if it's one of those things where like you've seen The Godfather 3. People talk about how bad The
Can it
Godfather
stand
3 is.
alone?
The Godfather 3 is not a bad movie, but
No,
it's
but
bad
in
if you watch one,
comparison
two, three
to
in a row.
okay,
And so I
okay,
wonder if we
I can
watch
see that.
if we just take a year's break and next
Yeah.
year we're like, yeah, let's revisit 2018 Grinch and try
Hmm.
not to think about the others. And like
Yeah.
literally, we finished Grinch 2000, took pee breaks, and turned on Grinch 2018. Is
Ooh,
that a fair way of doing it? I don't know.
probably
So
not.
like, I will
Probably not.
I will say like I will rewrite these scores next year if we watch it without the like immediate like warm up of what
Yeah.
I consider to be the best Grinch.
Yeah. No, good
So
point. So quality for me on the Grinch 2018 is a 5. And the reason it is, again, so low is because the quality I'm touching with you in writing. I had an expectation of what this should have been again in comparison to the others, and it didn't deliver on that expectation. And also, I saw too much liberty taken with the relationship between the Grinch and Cindy Lou or the Who's in general that caused his turn to feel less impactful
mhm.
and caused his flip to feel more because it had to happen because it did in the other films, not because it would have happened because of what he experienced. So
Yeah,
that is very much how that kind of changed for me and why I gave it. Actually, I think it's my lowest score besides nope, A Christmas Story. I also gave a 5. Oh no, I also gave Hard Eyes a 5 for quality. But this is definitely my lowest for fun or watchability because it just isn't fun, man. So
it's yeah
trailer
of the three, not
of the
compared to
three, right?
Christmas Story is way worse than this movie.
Christmas Story is hideous in comparison.
All right, next week we will be watching for New Year's. Although I googled New Year's movies and it came up, and I don't think this was a
It
New
really
Year's
isn't.
movie, but it's still it's what we're gonna go with is Tick Tick
I
Boom.
liked it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: we both liked it.
Yep.
We're gonna watch Tick Tick Boom. And that'll round out the year for us. And then we will next week at the end we will talk about all of the movies coming in January.
Yep.
And they're going to be
which is exciting.
Molto bene. That's all I'm going to say.
Molto bene. Molto fantastico.